For over 20 years, Samuel L. Jackson's performances on stage and screen were impressing viewers and critics alike. But it wasn't until his Oscar-nominated performance in Pulp Fiction as the Bible-quoting hitman Jules that he finally got the recognition he deserved.
Just chill out, honey bunny.
All right, now tell her it's going to be all right.
It's going to be all right.
Promise her.
I promise.
Tell her to chill.
Just chill out, honey bunny.
All right, now tell me your name.
Yolanda.
All right, now, Yolanda. We're not going to do anything stupid, are we?
Don't you hurt him.
Nobody's going to hurt anybody. We're all going to be like three little Fonzies here. And what's Fonzie like? Come on, Yolanda, what's Fonzie like?
It's cool.
What?
Cool.
Correctamundo. And that's what we're going to be. We're going to be cool.
We're going to be cool. He's back in theaters next week, starring in Rennie Harlin's The Long Kiss Goodnight, and I am pleased to have him on this broadcast. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Before we talk about movies, let's talk about golf just a bit.
Okay.
You insist on having in your contract a membership in whatever country club is closest to where you're shooting whatever movie.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's a pretty necessary evil for me. That's how I unwind. That's how I kind of meditate. I think about scripts while I'm out on the golf course, and it gives me focus.
How's the game?
I'm now playing in the mid to low 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did you start?
2.5 years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, you had a lot of heavy-duty instruction, or?
I paid some good money for the swing that I use, yes. But I really want to go to golf camp.
Yeah, I've done that.
I really want to do that.
That's good. You know, Jim McLean is the best that I know.
Is that right?
Down in Florida at the Doral.
Oh.
Really good.
I'll see if I can get a scholarship. I've actually played
Doral.
Doral.
I tell you who plays there. Not to name drop because I've never seen him there, but I know he plays there a lot. It's Stallone, who's heavy into golf.
Yeah, so
and
I
he
heard.
goes Jim McLean's place.
Yeah, I played Doral last year with
the Monster. What do they call it?
The Blue Monster.
Yeah.
Actually shot in 82.
Is that right?
I was amazed.
Yeah. Boy, isn't it great to see Tiger Woods win, though? I mean, come out there like his fourth tournament. And
I had no
boom.
idea. You know, somebody was telling me he won, and I was going, no, you know, he was like 6 strokes off. There's no way he came back and won. And sure enough, I started watching SportsCenter, and there it was.
Yeah, there he was.
It's wonderful.
Chattanooga, birthplace.
No.
No?
Chattanooga's where I grew up. I was born in Washington.
In Washington, D.C.?
Yes, and I moved to Chattanooga as an infant to live with my grandparents and my mom. And I grew up there. So it's kind of my hometown, but not where I was born.
Yeah. Mom's still alive?
Yes, she is. In fact, she just moved, I'd say 2 weeks ago, from the first address and phone number that I ever learned.
Yeah.
I've always used that.
She's had it all along.
Yeah, well, she was born in that house, too.
She moved to?
She moved to another house.
Place.
Yeah,
Another place.
She finally moved out of that house in Chattanooga to another house.
You're an only child.
Yes.
She's got to be thrilled.
I think so. I think so.
My boy, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did she call you, Sam? Samuel?
She calls me Sam. Yeah. It took a little while for that to kind of stick, that whole actor thing, because when I went off to school, you know, that wasn't a viable career alternative.
She didn't know a lot of actors who were...
Well, no, but she loved movies. She always went to the movies. She took me to the movies, and that was one of the places that I could always leave on Saturday and say I was going. That was fine for me to go and stay all day.
Because she knew you'd be all right.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I would go and watch, you know, serial movies, the Commando Cody and the Lash LaRue things and a whole series of cartoons. And then I'd go back in the evenings with her and see adult films. Like, I remember seeing Two Women, and I think my most vivid image of that time was Edge of the City.
Yeah. Well, did you say?
No, it never clicked into me that that's what I wanted to do until I got to college. And then when I told her, she asked me what I was going to do for a living.
Yeah.
And that doesn't become real for them or their friends, you know, if she was telling her friends, well, you know, Sam's an actor. They go, well, I haven't seen him on television. What's he on? And she's going, well, he's doing...
Where is he acting?
He's doing plays. Plays? Well, that's not real acting, is it? And then all of a sudden, I did a commercial for Crystal Hamburgers.
Yeah,
and all of her friends saw it. And her phone started to ring, and I was legitimate all of a sudden.
Did you pay your dues in a big time?
Oh, yeah.
You went through, I mean, there's no place you wouldn't audition if it would give you a chance to act.
There was no job, there was no venue that I wouldn't work in. I did children's theater, I did guerrilla theater, I did street theater, I did repertory theater. We had our own theater company that we started that we, you know, rehearsed till 2 and 3 in the mornings. We worked at our craft. And there are a couple of us that are still working from that group of people that started out.
Who else?
My wife,
Yeah,
Latanya.
Yolanda.
Yeah,
LaTanya.
LaTanya Richardson. She was in Lone Star,
Yeah.
and she just finished a film with Christian Slater called The Tears of Julian Poe.
Yeah.
And there's Bill Nunn, who was Radio Raheem and Do the Right Thing, and
Yeah.
he's currently in Extreme Measures. Gene Hackman. There's another guy named Famo Omalami who was on that newsroom television show that was shot here last year. He's still doing it.
When did you know you had what it takes in your own head?
Gosh, I guess when I got to New York and I was understudying Mother Courage. I was in Mother Courage, and Morgan Freeman and this other guy, Robert Christian, were the two leads. And my friend Ellis and I were the understudies. And Morgan and Robert slipped into an understudy rehearsal one day, and they sat in the back. And they watched us rehearse, and they told us, you know, you guys really don't need to work that hard because you're never going on. But Morgan also told me...
you're never going to get on stage.
Yeah, he also told me that I should not give up this business because I had a real facility, and that I had something that you just can't, you know, talk about or you can't put your finger on. He said, but you have that something, and you just need to keep working until you can bring it up.
Before that, was there ever a time in which you thought, you know, man, I'm busting my thing, you know?
Well, young actors have aspirations, and you look at movies and you look at television, and especially every year the Academy Award show comes around, and you sit there and you say, God, I really would love to be there. What do I have to do to get to that point? You stand in the mirror, you do your great acceptance speech, and all the things I would say if I was up there, who I would thank. And as you keep working, I often tell people this now, that what happened to me was I actually kept working to the point where I started to do better plays, and different kinds of directors that I came into contact with and other actors and interacting with them. And the craft became a lot more important. But there were times when I stopped wanting to be a movie star, and I said, well, okay, I can do a TV series. Sure, I can do a sitcom. And then when you audition for a few sitcoms and you don't get that job, you say to yourself, okay, I can do a soap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can sign a 2-year contract and do a soap for a while. And then when you go to those soap auditions and that doesn't happen, you say to yourself, what I really need is one good national beer commercial. That's what I need, a good national beer commercial. I can get those checks coming every week, and I can keep my theater habit going.
Right.
But when all this stuff doesn't happen, and you continue to work at your craft, and you do theater, and you work with the August Wilsons and the Lloyd Richards and the Douglas Turner Wards of the world and the Charles Fullers, you develop a way of working, and your craft becomes just one of those great satisfying things that you go to the theater every night, you have a different audience, and people are sitting there, and you can feel the sharing of energy between you and them. They're giving you something, you're giving them something, and at the end every night there's that great reward, the applause. And you're very satisfied with that. And once you let go of all those dreams and aspirations and let your respect for what you do become the most important thing, the other things start to happen.
Yeah, and it happened for you with Jungle Fever?
Yeah, in a very real way.
And that's when people said, wow.
Yeah, that was my first showcase role in a film, I guess. And I was able to take that guy and do what I like to do with characters now, and that's give them real human qualities that people can sit and look at and relate to in a very real kind of way and say, I know that guy.
I thought, and what it was for him, for me, is he knew who he was.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't jiving himself about who he was.
Not at all.
You know?
Never. And he was very manipulative and personable.
And knew he was doing it all the time.
All those things, but a very, nefarious character.
Yeah. Would do anything, including steal his mother's money.
Oh, yeah.
To get some crack.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, what was the quality you wanted to give him?
The quality I wanted to give him was the fact that he used all his relationships. Yeah. He used them up. And usually with most addicts you see on film or on television, they're always playing the addiction. And the addiction was not what Gator's most important quality was. His most important quality was the fact that he could ingratiate himself to anyone. When he met Flipper's girlfriend, she immediately liked him, because he had that charm, that personality, and he used that to his advantage.
Whenever you see somebody, I mean, in the real world, like that, that's got something you know is really good. Good, not in terms of good versus evil, but
Right.
a quality that could carry them a long way, and they're caught by drugs, by
Yeah.
something else. They're
Yeah.
caught by some head problem.
Yeah.
You just say, what a loss, you know? Because you
Exactly.
know they
'Cause
got
they could be
something
doing something wonderful
they could
for
hit
the
it
world.
out of the park and
Yeah.
make a difference. Maybe being a brain surgeon.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe entertaining us.
Of course.
You know, and it's just thrown away. Talent thrown away.
Of course.
You know, and then you see all those people who are striving, who care so much, who don't
Yeah.
have as much talent,
Running into that wall.
running into that wall
Running
and
into that
getting
wall.
up and running into it again,
Oh, yeah.
and again and again and again.
Yeah. But they
Yeah.
become like that drop of water on the rock, you know. Eventually they make a change.
They make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Jungle Fever, is that when Pulp Fiction came? I mean, you've done 40. I mean, how many films have you done? It was, to look at your filmography, it's just there.
Well, right after Pulp Fiction, I got White Sands.
Yeah, but before Pulp Fiction and after Jungle Fever, White Sands?
Yeah, White Sands came right after Jungle Fever,
Yeah.
and then Patriot Games.
Right. Oh, yeah,
And
that's
then Amos and Andrew, and then National Lampoon's Loaded Weapon, a succession of films that didn't make so much money, but I always got, you know, great reviews from them. I was an actor that was doing the work and putting in great characters. And somewhere along the line, I remember auditioning for Quentin for Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
And I read with him right over here on 57th Street on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So vivid in my mind. And then I was at Sundance that year, and I saw the first screening of it. And he didn't cast me, he cast another guy. And right after the film, I walked up to him and said, man, that film was so wonderful. I really wish, that I'd had a chance to do it, but congratulations. He said, so how'd you like the guy who got your part? I was like, okay, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, but you said an interesting thing about Quentin. I read about this in terms of Quentin. You said, someone said, man, I mean, to do August Wilson, which you did at the Yale Repertory Theater with Lloyd Richards.
Right.
And over here is Quentin Tarantino. Someone said, hey, look at, you said, they got a lot in common.
Yeah, very much
What
so.
do they have in common, August Wilson and Quentin Tarantino?
They know how to write for actors. They write things that actors want to say, and they write very real people.
Yeah.
The things that come out of their characters' mouths are things that you could hear every day, or if you could eavesdrop on certain kinds of people's conversations, you would stay and listen to them.
Yeah.
They're like songs, really wonderful things to listen to. And Quentin writes things that he would want to do because he is an actor. He's always wanted to be a movie star since he was a kid. And because of that, he writes things that actors want to do or that he would want to do if he was going to play that character.
Yeah. And when you read Pulp Fiction, I mean, you said...
I knew immediately. Yeah. I mean, the first time I sat down, time I sat there and read that script, I was blown away to the point that I just said to myself, wait a minute. I closed the last page and I sat there and said, wait a minute now. This script can't be this good. I'm just thinking this because this guy told me he wrote this great part, and I'm reading my part in it. And I think, my part is fabulous, but this script can't be that good. Okay, I turned it over, and I read it again, all the way through, immediately. And I knew then that this film has an audience. If we can find a group of people that are willing to leave this man alone and let him shoot what's on this page, they'll have something very special.
Now, was that a hard sell for him, for Quentin, to get the right to shoot that on what was on the page?
I guess not. Lawrence, his producing partner, is a younger guy who has the same
Lawrence Bender, is that his name?
Lawrence Bender, who has the same sensibilities as Quentin. In fact, he did Fresh, also, which is a very brilliant film by a really gifted young writer, Boaz Yakin. And he knew it, and then he got Harvey and Bob to do it, who will leave you alone.
This is Miramax.
They go, yeah, great.
Yeah, go do it.
Shoot it. Yeah.
and $200 million later, when you think about all the things that have come out of that.
It was an amazing experience.
And the character, is it what was on the page or what you did with what was on the page? I mean,
well, what happens is you cast an actor, and we all come with things. You hire an actor like me, you hire an actor like Tim Roth, you hire an actor like Bruce, you hire an actor like John Travolta. We all have certain kinds of things that we bring with us to these characters. And Quentin writes the words, and you can have those words come out of a lot of different actors' mouths, but unless you have the right intent or you do the kind of homework that makes that character have a life before you see what he's done there, the things that he's saying don't mean anything. So we came with all this stuff, and we had a rehearsal period of 2.5 to 3 weeks where we got together, we went through the lines, we would change things. I would say, well, this doesn't sound right to me, Quentin. Let me say this. And he'd go, cool, say that. Yeah, oh, yeah, say that. Because he's that kind of guy. And he knew all the locations so well that he taped them out on the floor. Yeah. So John and I used to actually walk that hallway through there and do that whole foot massage speech, and we get to the door, we walk away, we do something else, come back, we get in the elevator, ride up the elevator down, get in the car, get out of the car. He had us doing everything. And he would have dinners where the whole cast would come. And we would get together and just eat and just hang out.
Talk about your characters or just talk about anything?
Just hang out.
Yeah.
Just hang out to make sure that we had a great familiarity for each other.
This is a clip in which you and John are talking about your future. Here it is. I don't know whether this is the time after you decided you're going to give it all up or not. Roll tape.
Whether or not what we experienced was an according to Hoyle miracle is insignificant. But what is significant is I felt the touch of God. God got involved.
You serious? You really thinking about quitting?
The life?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
What you gonna do then?
Well, that's what I've been sitting here contemplating. First, I'm going to deliver this case to Marcellus. Then, basically, I'm just going to walk the earth.
What you mean, walk the earth?
You know, like Caine in Kung Fu. Walk from place to place, meet people, get in adventures.
They got a name for that, Jules. It's called a bum.
Look, my friend, this is just where you and I differ.
Travolta first. You two became friends.
Yeah.
You know. Now he knows everybody in Hollywood.
Of course.
You know, and 1,000 stories.
Yeah.
But
John
he's also
has the best stories in the world.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Best gossip around.
Oh, well, that's just great stories.
Yeah.
John is the kind of guy to me that when I met John and I started to talk to him, when he went to Hollywood after Welcome Back, Kotter and started to do Saturday Night Fever and all those things, he was embraced by Barbara Stanwyck, James Cagney, Jimmy Stewart, and those people, which says a lot about the kind of guy that he is, that they don't grab hold to the newer and younger stars. We won't call their names right now, those huge names, the $20 million people, like they did him, which says that if he had been young when they were young and they were movie stars, he would have been one of their peers. Yeah. He has that kind of class.
Class.
Yeah. And that's what, that's about. Those guys had class and respect for
How did he feel about this as a comeback vehicle? I mean, did he know that this is going to, even though he had some roles, it was not where he was at Saturday Night Fever and at
I don't even get that whole comeback thing.
You don't because he was always there?
How many of those Baby Talk movies did they do?
3.
You don't make 3 of something that's not making money.
Okay, but making money is not the test. Making money, well, no, come on. No,
that's the standard they use out there.
Well, I know it is.
Okay.
I know it is, and that's exactly. And you have said frequently, I want to make the movies, bring them in there and have them put their butt in the seats.
Yes.
And when somebody said, when will you be a star? And you said, when they'll come to see Samuel L. Jackson and they'll fill that theater, then I'm a star, and then I'll ask for my $20 million.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll be worth it.
You'll be worth it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the film that's mentioned on the top of that cap, The Long Kiss Goodnight, which you really wanted. But before that, A Time to Kill. Proud of that role?
Yes. Quite.
Tell me about the part that was left on the editing floor. What was it that was left there that sort of ticked you off?
Well, actors have things that we work on and we prepare, and the first thing I shot in this film was a section of me running through the woods and picking her up because that was part of her dream. But the next thing that I shot was the first day that I go into Jake's office and I tell him what happened to my daughter, which is essentially the speech that he does for the jury at the end of the
speech that he does.
Yeah, the speech that he does for the jury at the end of
now, just let me follow this. Joel Schumacher, who's somebody I like a lot, a director, he took Joel. That script, that thing that came out of what you said, what your character said to
Jake.
To Jake.
Yeah. And the description of the rape.
Yeah. And put it in Jake's mouth to convince the jury at the end of the movie.
Well, it was always that way. I did the speech during the beginning.
Yeah.
And that was his summation speech.
Oh, I see. But what happened is when you did it to Jake, it didn't make it to the
it didn't make it to the film. And there were maybe 2 other scenes that we did in the jail that actually didn't make it. But to me, they were references to how much I love my daughter. Yeah. And when you see this man talking about what happened to this girl and the fact that she called him the whole time she was being raped, and he knew that, And he talks about that and about protecting this girl who's this precious thing that shouldn't be harmed, that we should keep the world away from. There were no references to that in the film for him. So that what happens is my character seemingly becomes this really vengeful and calculating kind of guy. When I was doing the role, everything that I did and doing that murder was done out of love for this little girl, to show her that these are the lengths that I will go to protect you in this world. It wasn't about revenge. And it just makes the character kind of different in the film as opposed to the character that I was doing.
Now, did you have discussions about this?
No, none whatsoever.
None.
I went to...
It's like, thank you very much, Mr.
Right, the
Jackson.
first time I went to a
appreciate your
screening and I saw it, and I was sitting there, and I go up I knock on that door, and Jake opens the door, and I go in there. I'm sitting there waiting on this, really great speech, because when I did it, doing the shooting, I mean, I looked around the room, everybody was just, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh,
So you knew you'd done it.
like, yes, I nailed it. And all of a sudden, that scene goes by and that speech is not there, and I'm like leaving. It's like, so the whole rest of the movie, I'm just sitting there going, oh man, my speech. I just couldn't watch the movie, and I was just bent out of shape. And I talked about it to my managers. I talked about it, and then I talked to Joel about it, and he said, well, it'll be on the laser, don't worry. It'll be on the 4-hour version, and But that didn't make me feel any better about it, because I wanted the people to see it.
Yeah.
And in a divinely and really selfish kind of way, people keep talking to me about Academy Award nominations for that film. And that's fine if that happens, and that would be wonderful. But it also comes down to people saying, you're pretty much a lock for a supporting actor. And I said, well, wait a minute now. My name's above the title with Sandra Bullock and Matthews. So who was I supporting?
Yeah.
And when you come down to it, if that speech is still there and that other reference to my daughter, then I have a complete arc of character that makes him a lead character. And without those things, I guess he does become a supporting character. And I have to accept that in that way and deal with that.
How do you deal with it? Just move on?
I just keep working.
Yeah. And knowing that...
Yeah, I know I did it, and I know I did it well. And if they ever want to show it to somebody, I'm sure somebody has it somewhere. And it may make it to a laser version, it may not.
My guess is that they did it because of time, or rather, right?
All right.
No, you tell me.
I can go with that.
No, well, tell me.
Nobody ever told me.
Nobody ever told you?
No, I never, there were time considerations, yes.
Take a look at this. This is from A Time to Kill.
Our daughters, Jake, they ain't never gonna play together.
What are you talking about?
America is a war, and you on the other side. How a black man ever gonna get a fair trial with the enemy on the bench in the jury box? My life in white hands. You, Jake, that's how. You my secret weapon, 'cause you one of the bad guys. You don't mean to be, but you are. Negro, black, African American, no matter how you see me as different. You see me like that jury sees me. You are them. Now throw out your points of law, Jake. If you was on that jury, what would it take to convince you to set me free? That's how you save us both.
Damn good, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you. I like that speech.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah. All right, you have said that you, Denzel, Morgan, Wesley, maybe a couple more, play on a level playing field now. Yes? Meaning that where you are now is all about merit, and there's nobody holding you back because of color or anything else. You believe that?
In a way, yeah.
In a way you don't?
In a way I don't, yes.
What don't you believe about it?
Well, I think we're all paid like B-list white actors as opposed to A-list white actors.
Even Denzel has been
He makes $10 million. I mean, B-list white actors make $10 million.
Yeah. And A-list white actors make 20?
Make $15 to $20 million, yeah. And he's a major star. He's won his Academy Award. Morgan's been nominated for an Academy Award 4 times.
Carries a movie.
4 times. I mean, I could watch Morgan read a phone book.
I could,
because he's that good.
And you too.
And that's not level, but that's what it is. We're all making more money than we ever made before, and we're constantly showing our best side, and hopefully, because we work the way we work, someone will realize that there are other young actors out here going through the same process that we went through, because we all came out of here. We all worked together at various points in our career.
Came out of New York.
Came out of New York. We paid our dues. That there are other young men and women out here doing the very same thing that are worthy of being considered for some of those minor roles or roles that develop actors the way that they're constantly seeking.
And not getting that shot
And
now.
not getting that shot, because they're not out there trying to find the next me, Morgan, Denzel, Wesley. They're always trying to find the new Tom Cruise, the new Tom Hanks.
Yeah, but
and that's okay.
Yeah.
But if it's a level playing field, they should be out there trying to find those guys too. And there are considerations sometimes in roles that involve intimacy and romance. That's just a fact of life. That we aren't going to be seen having normal lives with, I guess, the A-list white actresses, because that's just not the way they see it.
Far off you think that is?
I don't know. I think in certain kinds of ways they let certain kinds of relationships happen. I mean, Wesley does it.
Right.
I mean, Denzel has done it, I guess, in certain kinds of ways. But the world is an interesting kind of place out there. There are a lot of interracial families out there.
Yeah. You said once that
and
what
they're
struck
happy.
you most surprisingly about Mississippi, where you were filming, was a number of interracial couples you saw.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I grew up in Tennessee, and I watched SEC football, basketball, all that stuff, and there were no black kids playing on those teams. Now, there are no white kids on those teams.
I'm from North Carolina.
It's changed.
I got to talk about Long Kiss Goodnight. You wanted this role. You
Yes.
read this script and said, I'll even audition for it if necessary.
I chased it, yeah.
Did you have to audition?
No, eventually I didn't. I don't know who was in charge of the project in the beginning or whatever, but when I first started to chase it, I guess that was some of that minor resistance that we were just talking about, because there is a lot of sexual tension between Samantha, Charlie,
Samantha is Gina Davis, a woman who has amnesia,
and
used to be
Mitch.
a CIA killer or something.
and Mitch. And at one point in one of the older scripts, they did fall into bed together.
Yeah.
So I guess that was kind of some, well, we don't know. We have to think about that kind of stuff. And
What did
nobody
you-
would ever take me seriously about it. And one night I was at a dinner party, and Rennie and Gina were there.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk all that night because I'd never really met them. They were on the other end of the table, but all of a sudden they were leaving. And I just walked up to them and said, I really would love to work with you guys one day. I'm impressed with both of your work. I like Rennie's films. Ms. Davis, I watched you. I really like you. And I hope at some point we'll be able to do something together. And 2 days later, I was in a meeting with Rennie at Jerry's Deli, and another day or so later, I had this job.
And it was never in the script, black actor.
No, never.
Just said actor.
Yeah, it was just
Character's
Mitch
name.
Hennessy was just a guy.
And what was it that appealed to you about this character?
Well, here you have a guy in the middle of an action film who has very low self-esteem and who's been damaged in some very real kinds of ways by his prison experience, by his marital relationship, and his relationship with his kid. And he's to the point that he really doesn't think that he can do anything right. And he's kind of like floundering. And he's looking for an identity. And you have a woman who's hired him who's looking for her identity. And you have these two people that come together, and they find themselves and each other while this huge action thing is going on around them.
Roll tape. Here it is. The Long Kiss Goodnight. Pleasure to have you on this broadcast.
Thank you, sir. I'm
Very
really, really, really pleased that you had me on.
Thanks.
Hopefully I can come back and talk to you again.
No question. Maybe we'll play golf one day.
Love to.
Hey,
Love to.
thank you.
Thank you.
The movie is The Long Kiss Goodnight, starring Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night. See you then.